Hey you, what up,
What's
y'all?
what's going on?
Blerd Cartel post game. Usually we do this on Sunday, but we on tonight. We're gonna talk some NFL talk. We may have
Hmm.
some folks joining us,
Um,
but for now,
hmm.
yeah, it's your boy Hollywood Sensei. Y'all just saw me on that Culture Watch. Shout out my boy BMC. I mean, we just had a good joint over there. So you already know my intro. I ain't even about to get into all that. I mean, but I'm joined by the man himself. You know what I mean? The man, Mrs. Legend. You know.
I'm on here. The one and only GS baby. We talking about sports.
Yeah, man, we had a lot. We had some games go down last night
Mhm.
and Sunday. We had a plethora of games Sunday. You know what I mean, let's
I
not.
just want to know how can 11-1 team still be an underdog? I'm just trying to figure out what's wrong with people.
Yeah, at this point, you 11 wins in. I mean, I'm figuring that underdog tag got to be removed. Like, I mean, 17 game season, you got 11 wins.
We got people saying the Cowboys better than us, and I don't understand that. If Cowboys beat us, that means that we're even with them now, so we just can't lose no more games. So we get home for advantage. Do that make any sense?
No,
We
not
beat
the.
we beat Minnesota. They beat Minnesota, right?
Hmm.
Okay. We beat Green Bay. They lost to Green Bay. They beat Washington. They beat Giants. They always beat them. That's the team they always beat. The only problem they always have a problem beating is us. They always have a problem beating the Eagles. So, however you see it, 11-1 and convincingly to say that we're the you know,
Top team in
uh,
the league.
yeah, we're not the team best team in the league. We lost to a 7-4-1 Washington Redskins,
Yikes.
right?
I
So
mean,
the thing about it, they going when we played these dudes when we played Detroit. Detroit was at a one. It was 1-0, right?
yep.
They was 1-0 when we played them, right? Okay. We
Both
played
teams.
Jackson.
Both
When we
teams
played
lost.
Jacksonville. Jacksonville's undefeated too, right?
Yeah.
Right. All right. They just blew somebody out by a crazy margin. It was a good team too. It wasn't like no. It's somebody that's probably relevant now. They blew out, right?
Yeah, Jacksonville just beat Lamar and them.
They blew Lamar and them out, right? So this is what I don't understand, right? How can y'all say people ain't, you know, how y'all gonna call people bums and all that shit like that? Y'all can't call people bums because this like right now, if the Raiders beat somebody, y'all gonna call them Raiders. Y'all gonna call Raiders garbage then because they beating
Yes,
somebody right now. Some people
yes.
just late. If somebody late to get started, you can't call a team that's late to get started. You can't really call them garbage though.
Yes, you can.
So Washington garbage. That's what I'm asking you.
Oh, no, no, no. I don't think
All right,
Washington garbage. I think
all right.
Washington is middle of the pack
So why y'all let Bull continue on to say that we lost to Washington, bro? When we lost by calls, obviously, right?
You lost, but
So
no. Now there's a difference between saying Washington is a good team and saying Washington is bad. Washington is middle of the pack. Now, do
I
I think
never.
that's like a really bad loss? No, not really. Because like Washington is a solid team. I'm not gonna just sit here and act like they aren't solid. They beat the bad teams they're supposed to beat relatively, and they struggle against gooder teams. That's fine. They're middle of the pack. It's not saying that that's a bad loss for the Eagles. It's just a loss.
Mm-hmm.
I would relatively say the same about the
So
Packers at this point. The Packers are
so
middle of the pack
so can
at this
I ask
point
y'all something? Why ain't for real? Why all NFC East teams in the top 10? Explain that to me.
because all the NFC East teams are relatively solid teams compared to everything else in the NFC, which are relatively garbage.
What
Like we're
AFC
gonna look
teams
at
they lost to?
like we're gonna keep it a bean. Like we're gonna keep it a bean. The Giants are a really good run game with a really good defense. The Eagles are a good team. The Cowboys are a good team all around for both of them. And Washington is a solid team that occasionally, just gets lucky. But to be honest, they are like relatively sound defensively too. Because on average, Washington doesn't score above 20 points, 20, 21 points. So they
Mm-hmm.
are relatively solid defensively. The
Mm-hmm.
NFC as a whole is basically bad. Like
Mm-hmm.
other than the NFC East, every other division really only has like one to maybe two teams that are actually competitive.
Mm-hmm.
Now we look Look at the entire NFC South, I believe, with the Buccaneers. That entire
they ass.
division is bad. So
But
that's
that,
just one.
but at one point that used to be one of the strongest divisions, right?
Yeah, a few years ago.
I just want to say, in Atlanta's defense, if
what's the
Marcus
defense?
in our defense,
y'all listen, bro. Listen, I give y'all no respect. Y'all beat 49ers. They're making 49ers relevant, and y'all beat them. How the fuck is you hear what I'm saying? How the fuck 49ers gonna talk to me and you lost and they lost to Atlanta? Do that make any sense?
Yeah,
they lost to the Bears, bro. They lost to the Bears too. Do that make sense?
This is the thing that you have to look at when it comes to things like that. Any given Sunday, a team can have a bad Sunday and lose to a bad team. That doesn't make that team bad.
But that shouldn't shade away from us being number one, bro. That shouldn't shade away from us being number one in the whole league.
No, the thing that take away from y'all being number one, now, I would say, like, you just neutrally, you can say the Eagles are the team to beat in the NFL. That's fine. But the thing that's gonna always look down upon your team is that y'all have a very easy schedule. There's not nothing that you can debate about it. Now, it's right that you win those games, and nobody's gonna take those wins away from you. But you can't act like every team that y'all have played has been like, actually a really good team.
Let me ask you something. You can't tell me how to act about my team being 11-1, bro. You can't tell me how to feel.
How to act.
You can't tell me how to feel. No.
When did I ever tell you how to act?
You just said you can't. You got. What you just say? Say it again just now, yo.
What I said was nobody can take away from you the wins that you have. I said the only thing that they can take away from that is the fact that your schedule was easy.
They can't take that away from us.
No. The only thing they can take away from the validity of y'all being the number one team in the NFL is the fact that your schedule is easy. That's the only thing they can try to take away from you. Everything else they can't take. They can't take the fact that you have a top at passing attack. They can't take away the fact that you have a top defense. They can't take away the fact that you have a very good running game. They can't take away how good your team is. The only thing they can remove from the Eagles is how easy the opponents that y'all have been. That's the only thing. That's what I said.
So if your team in the top 5 lose to the Colts, you think you should be in top 5?
If the rest of your wins have been legitimate, that's fine. Because like I said, any team can have a bad week.
But they shouldn't be in front of the Bengals or even close to the Bills.
Did I not say any team can have a bad week? Are y'all worse than the Commanders?
No.
But y'all lost to them, right?
We beat them too. That's what you don't understand.
No, that's fine. But are you worse than the team that can you agree the Eagles had a bad week?
Yo, listen, to me that wasn't a bad week. They got the calls. That's it. We wouldn't have lost if they got the calls. They got the calls, bro. The rest of them win that game, bro. You tripping.
Bruh, it's more than just the calls.
Bro, listen.
It was more than I can't watch the game. It's more than just the calls. They had a bad week.
Can I ask you something, bro? How much time we had left to go to beat the Colts, bro? Answer that question.
What?
How much time we had left to beat the Colts?
Time they had left to beat the Colts. I wasn't the one putting the Colts loss against you.
No, listen. No, hear me out. How much time we had left to beat the Colts? Like a minute and 30 seconds, right?
Yeah, I'm thinking of the Lions game.
So listen. So we playing against the Giants. So we playing against. Keep that same mindset. We're playing against Washington. We played against Washington, right? The drive before that, Goddard got face masked and fumbled on the same play, and they gave it to him. Okay, that's one call. The next joint, the man blatantly falls down and gets up, and it was like a kid chat. It was like a kid chat. He acted like he was hurt. Soon we got the call, he jumped up and acted like a whole fucking kid. The NFL should look at that kind of funny. This is the last call, last chance we had. We'd have had a minute and 15 seconds left with one timeout, and it would have been the timeout would have used, and they'd have punted. With 1 minute 50 seconds, you mean to tell me that if we sit here and walk the field on what's the name defense, which was better than Washington's at the time, fucking Colts defense was better than Washington at the time. You mean to tell me we weren't able to go down the field on them after they just got these lucky ass calls of win the game. We did it every time.
So my question in rebuttal to that is for the other, let me calculate, about the other 40 minutes of game time, which will cut that in half that the Eagles had the ball, but they were not able to progress down the field and score those same touchdowns. Is it also hard to say that Washington also could have stopped you in the same way that they did earlier in the game?
Bro, hear me out. They gave him a personal foul when the man was in play. He got hit out.
I'm not talking about the
this
call.
is all they calls they're giving them.
I'm talking about the other 40 minutes of game time where there was no questionable calls that they continue to stop y'all and get 3 and outs and y'all did not score. Is it hard to say they could have also stopped y'all in that same last 2 minutes?
But as we talking about before, we talking about the last 9 minutes of the game, bro.
What you said was if they didn't give them those calls and y'all got the ball back with about under 2 minutes to go, could y'all have went down there and scored? I said, yes, that's possible. But it also is possible that just like earlier in the game that Washington continued to stop y'all from doing that, they could have also stopped you in the same last 2 minutes in the
but
same
they
way.
wasn't stopping us. We were driving, bro.
Bro, y'all had less points. They were stopping you.
Bro, stop. Listen, bro. You're not being realistic right now to me, yo. You're not being realistic. Because mommy, I'm explaining to you right now, mommy. We just had the ball driving. They face masked us and made us fumble. And they didn't give us a face mask, they gave them the fumble.
Yeah.
Listen, we stopped them again. Then they called what's the name, bro? They stretched it out just enough for them to win.
Your question simply was.
And then y'all keep talking about Washington put up 32 points on when we did a fluke play at the end and they scored.
Who is y'all? I did not say that.
No, I'm talking about the people in the chat. The chat.
You arguing with the same dude. I didn't say that. You arguing with the same dude who brought that up because you and the Cowboys fan.
No, Cam said it too. Look at what Cam said it too.
I am not Cam. I am not Cam.
You just said the Cowboy fan. So I'm talking about people. I'm not talking about you.
Exactly.
How do they say that? How do they say that either? But it is people that said something, bro. Not saying you individually.
And my rebuttal, the only thing I have said was that just like it is possible because it's not an absolute fact because we can't watch the end of the game and see if that'll happen. It just like it is possible. Y'all could have went down there and scored. Very true. It is also possible that they could have stopped you in the same vein. It is also possible either way. So we will never know the answer to that question. I understand. But like I said earlier, Washington to me is not a bad loss. It's just how it goes.
I never said nothing was a bad loss, but we're 11-1. I'm not worried about that.
And I'm cool
saying
that.
Like I said we're the best team in the league. But what's the point of your
you won your game?
But why as you say the Dallas Cowboys decide what matters and what? No, the fuck it don't.
I said that for a reason. I said it because the only thing, like I said earlier, that people can take away from the Eagles is that they have an easier schedule. So if you go out there and you dominate and beat a Dallas Cowboys team that's at full strength, nobody can challenge y'all at that point. Correct? Nobody can say that the Eagles have anything easier than nothing because they beat the second best team in the NFC, right?
I don't think Dallas should be the one to decide that. That's our division, bro.
No, I mean it's the problem. I mean, yeah, it's your division, but the only problem with it is that they're the only good team left on your schedule that can actually give you a test. They're the only ones. Y'all don't have any other teams
I would just wait until the playoffs. That shit ain't even worth even talking about them because they keep talking about what they got and they're not talking about what we got. We got everything.
See, the thing about it, y'all, and that's going to test because we can say that. Like, can we say that Dallas is a top 5 team in the NFL? Most likely, yeah. So it's a really good test to prove that y'all are the dominant team that your record says that you are. That's what I meant by that.
We'll see in a few weeks. But
you know what I'm saying? Like, Dallas is the only test on their schedule really left. So, like, that's going to be like, okay, if we beat down Dallas like we did earlier in the season, but this time they got Dak and they at full strength, nobody can challenge the Eagles and say that, their schedule was easy or nothing like that. Because that is literally going to be proof that we are the dominant team they say they are. That's why I said Dallas.
We still got to play Giants, don't we?
Twice.
I mean, bro, let's be real. Like, I can keep it a beam.
Listen, I get what you're saying. But you should be saying the same thing about the Cowboys, too, bro.
No, I can't say that. Because the Cowboys actually have a halfway
Listen,
decent
bro.
quarterback.
Hey, Hollywood, the difference between them is 1 win, bro.
No, and then you know that's a lie. You know that is a lie. The difference between
Yo,
the Cowboys,
Giants
scratch
got
it.
swept. Giants
That
got
is a
swept by the
lie, and you
Cowboys.
know that. The difference between the Cowboys and Giants, both of them have
Giants,
good defenses. The Cowboys have a better defense. They have a better run game and have a better quarterback and they have better wide receivers. You know that.
Well, let me interject here, and let's get into this Week 13 action. You know what I mean? We started off week Thursday night.
No, they don't got a better run game, bro.
We started off the week Thursday night.
Oh my
God. They don't got a better run game than the Giants.
They have a better two-headed monster on their squad. Not a better individual runner, but a better run game.
I understand I understand what you're saying with a better two-headed monster, but they don't got a better run game than Giants.
They have a better run game because they have a more established run game between two runners. Saquon Barkley is a better runner. Don't get me wrong. Saquon Barkley is a better runner, but they have a better run game because they have a two-headed monster.
But listen, you gotta say the more scarier person running the ball on Giants is Danny Dimes to me, bro.
With a worse offensive line.
I'm just saying, Danny Dimes run, bro. He gets the yard. You know he's scary when he runs.
Ain't nobody scared of Danny Dimes running in the backfield. Let's keep it a bean, fam. Please, let's keep it a bean, fam. I'm not saying Danny Dimes can't run. He can run the football. That's his best feature. Ain't nobody scared of Danny Dimes in the backfield.
You have to worry about that because they don't got a pass game, bro. You have to worry about he's accountable. He don't got a pass game. So they gotta be accountable.
So what do? You stack the box and play man-to-man. You know what happens with that? They don't score above 20 points. You know what the Giants have averaged all this season? 20 motherfucking points.
Well, the Giants, let's get into this Week 13 action. You know what I mean? It was a slate of games that we got to go through. You know what I mean? So Thursday night, we start off with the Patriots.
You're a Saints fan, by the way, right?
I'm not no fan.
Huh?
Please don't be a Saints fan. But we started out with the
no fan.
You're a no fan?
No, I love the game.
Oh yeah, you're a funny ass nigga for that.
Patriots.
Everybody got a team, bro.
No, they don't.
Yes, they do.
No, they don't.
What's our thoughts on the Patriots Bills?
Hollywood, you got a team, don't you, Hollywood?
But Patriots Bills Thursday night started off Week 13. Patriots won this game. I mean, the Bills won this game.
Yeah, you said Patriots. No way. It's easy. Buffalo. It's easy. What they playing at?
It was in New England, but Buffalo won the game. 24-10. Buffalo improved to 9-3. Patriots fell to 6-6. I mean, so what is did we watch this game? What was the thoughts, or what?
It was I ain't really watched that game. Like that, I'm gonna keep wondering with you.
Man, that game was exactly what we thought it would be.
Yeah.
The Bills would show their dominance over the Patriots, and it will keep going like it always has. Like, we figured that was going to happen. That ain't nothing new.
Yep. Bills had 355 total yards of offense. Patriots had 242, 182 yards passing for Mac Jones. Only 14 first downs. Offensive line did good, though. He's only sacked one. No turnovers. But the thing that did him in was time of possession. Buffalo Bills held the ball for 38 minutes compared to the Patriots 21. So,
the Patriots just coming back down to earth. Like, they actually are overachieving a little bit, to be real with you. They just coming back down to earth. That's all it really is.
Yeah, I think their defense is just like they've been just doing stuff and helping them win games.
Yep.
Yeah, Judon was doing a lot more than we expect him to do.
Like, it's only so much that offense is gonna be able to put out there at the 30 points. So it is what it is. This will be expected.
So our first game on Sunday, we had the owner of the Chicago Bears, Aaron Rodgers, versus the Bears. I mean, Packers won this game 28-19. They improved the 5-8. Bears fall to 3-10. I mean, so what's your thoughts on Chicago? Justin Fields, another good game running the ball. Had 409 total yards of offense, 155 yards rushing, 200.
He just getting recreation, bro. He just playing right now just to be playing because they just trying to get ready to load up for next year. That's it.
And
I
also
mean,
it was by the Bears, which they had the lead in this game, but 3 turnovers did them in.
Yeah.
they making he making no requisite second year jumps that I like seeing. But I mean, the
Yeah.
Bears aren't
Yeah.
good. They don't have a good squad on paper to keep it a bean. So they just trying to, like I say, trying to load up for next year. They getting
Yeah.
them good reps, and he's showing some good flashes. He'll be like Lamar Jackson esque, maybe like Josh Allen esque, like a really good runner of the ball. Hopefully, that arm and accuracy can develop, and he gets some receivers to actually throw to besides Mooney and Montgomery or whatever else. So.
Yeah.
Justin Fields actually was 20 of 25 for 254, but he threw 2 interceptions. So,
Mm.
you
He'll
Let's
know,
talk
come
about
back.
my let's talk about my man Deshaun Watson, man. That's what you need to be talking about.
speaking of Watson, the rookie Christian Watson continuing his touchdown streak. He had a receiving touchdown and a rushing touchdown in this game. So if you picked him up in fantasy, you are happy right now because
Oh, Watson, yeah.
you pick Christian Watson, you're happy
Mm.
right now. He's been balling out. But let's move on to the next game. And the next game was week 13. Hold on, where we at? Week 13. Hold on. Next game, unfortunate Steelers Falcons. I mean, Steelers improved to 5-7. Falcons go to 5-8.
Mm.
I mean, 19-16 was the
Mm.
score. Najee Harris had over 80 yards, 5 yards carry. Kenny Pickett 197 yards passing and a touchdown. Mariota interception, 167 yards.
Mm.
Darrell Patterson had over 60 yards, had over 100 yards rushing, but just like we said with the Bills, I mean with the Patriots and the Bears, turnover that did them in. I mean, Steelers got
Mm.
the game. It was probably nobody really cared about this.
Mm.
Man, my only takeaway from that game is that there is still hope that the Steelers won't have a losing record, and they'll keep Tomlin's streak alive. I
Mm.
doubt it. I'm gonna be real with you. I still think they probably just gonna lose like majority of the leftover games of the season. But that's the only takeaway. Just my
Mm.
man's might be able to salvage a winning season out of this, or at least just not a losing season. The 8-1. These ties are happening all over the NFL, so that might be the only hope we'll get from that. But other than that, man, nobody worried about the team.
Mm.
Yeah, Falcons yet again another loss. 5-8. We're 4-0 when Mariota does not throw the ball for the team. 1-7 when he throws the ball more than 20 times. So that's
Oh, not can't even throw 20. Oh no.
we have a quarterback that can't throw. So
Won't
that's
y'all this? Won't y'all this shut what's name down and put what's name in, man?
I've been
Put
saying that
fucking
put
put
Desmond
like yeah, give him a chance. God damn that they are the only team that is like they ready to put Willison right now for fucking. I don't know why they ready to put
See how that's
Willison
going.
for Titans. I don't know why they ready to do that right now.
but next game it was actually pretty solid game between two teams with good records. You had the Minnesota Vikings and the New York Jets. Vikings improved to 10-2. Jets fall to 7-5. Vikings won this game 27
Yeah,
to
they stopped them in the red zone like 3 times, bro.
The Vikings skate away by the skin of their teeth again, boy. Woo!
Mm.
Mike White with 2 interceptions, threw the ball over 50 times, 57 pass attempts.
That's wild. I
Garrett
mean,
Wilson, huge game, 8 receptions, 162 yards for the rookie.
Yeah, he ready to get rookie of the year. He balling this year.
And you had the Vikings, Kirk Cousins, 173 yards, a touchdown. Dalvin Cook ran for 86 yards and TD. Justin Jefferson had a touchdown.
Kirk Cousins had 173 yards.
Yep, 173
Damn,
yards on
damn.
21
the
pass complete.
Vikings are the definition of win however you can. That is
Yeah,
the definition of the
yeah,
Vikings. Win
yeah.
however you can. It might not be pretty. It might look ugly. We might screw up on
They
one
say
instance, but
a win is a win. That's what you
a
call a
win
win
is
is
a
a
freaking
win.
win. That's the definition of the Vikings. A win is a win. Like,
Yeah.
it ain't gonna be pretty, but look, the
We gonna get
record
this.
will
We
be
gonna get
there.
this dub, though. That's all about. We gonna get this dub. I don't
So
know. Yeah.
Vikings 2-2. Second best record in the NFC.
That's in the
Only
Well, I say they
NFL. In
good.
the NFL.
Like
Oh yeah, that
they
shit.
are good. I always give the Vikings props. I feel like they get
But
a look.
that,
They should get a little
but
more
that's what I'm
props.
saying though. How they in the top five though? That's what's killing me.
Simply because, like, what we understand is that how sometimes when you have to nitpick for like top fives and stuff, how you win games, your dominance, and you have to nitpick teams, and you look at the Vikings and just like they cannot be trusted. You just
Hmm.
mostly look at it like you really just can't trust them. You can't, even though Kirk Cousins is a solid quarterback, you can't really trust them in big moments like that, which has been shown. And it's
Right.
just
Hmm.
like it's hard to trust that team on like any big moments or major things. That's the major problem is that just you cannot trust them. And when you look at their schedule and the games that they won, like I remember saying in the chat, they have yet to show any real dominance against any of the teams that they have played. Every game has been a barn burner. Every game has been a struggle almost.
Hmm.
And all their opponents have not been top quality opponents. Like they've had to
They
fight the
should
Lions. They've had to fight
they
the
should
Cardinals.
they should have dominance on fucking Green Bay from the gate.
Yeah, a Green Bay team in week one, it was 22-7.
They had they fucking DN. They DN had a couple sacks that game too. That's when what was that? Sean Gary. They was balling. He was balling them right. Well, Sean Gary was like he was leading the league in sacks at one point.
Like, cause we always say,
So
and the thing about it, we always take week one with a grain of salt. But after that, boy, win how you can. That has been their motto. So it's like, we give them props. It's just like, I'm gonna be real with you. Nobody really believes that the Vikings are gonna like make a playoff run. Like, even though they have a wonderful record, second best record in the NFL, nobody really believes the Vikings is gonna make this playoff run. Like, just keep it a bean with you. And that reasons like that are why you don't really consider them like top three to top five, possibly something like that. Because you really don't believe the Vikings are going to make that run. You just don't. And it's just like, why would you think that? And then you just nitpick it. And it's like, well, yeah, that's why.
Kirk Cousins.
Next game, this is actually a blowout. Lions, Jaguars. Detroit go to 5-7. Jaguars fall to 4-8. Lions put up a 40 piece, 40-14. I mean, you had Christian Kirk went over 100 yards. Only touchdown in the game for Jacksonville on offense was Evan Ingram. I mean, he caught. Trevor Lawrence had 179 yards passing.
He got hurt early that game. Man.
Nothing really to write home about. Jared Goff though, 31-41, 340 yards, 2 TDs. I mean, DeAndre Swift, Jamal Williams both had touchdowns on the ground. Jamal Williams leading the NFL in touchdowns, I believe, now with 14,
14. Yeah.
14 rushing touchdowns. Amon-Ra St. Brown over 114 yards receiving, 2 TDs.
Low key one of the best receivers in the league.
Definitely. The Lions 5-7, improvement from that record
We
last year.
believe in golf.
Jared Goff, he's
He's
doing
coming
things.
back.
And then next year, well, down the stretch, but then next year you'll have the same.
That's the thing with them. So they drafting a quarterback, or they should get somebody on defense. It's
No,
they
they need to
missing
get
some.
defense.
Yeah,
They
they
need
missing
defense.
something. Yeah, because they
That
can
defense
definitely put
is
the
horrible.
offense up. Yeah.
I just say give Goff a chance. You already got that horrible contract. Screw it. Just go ahead and ride that mug out for a year. Get some defense. See what you really got. They not.
You got
I mean,
weapons.
they scoring. They can score, and then you have Amon St. Brown. They have
But it's like what do they need, bro? A linebacker or fucking or D? They don't need no D line, do they?
They need safeties, bro. They be getting hurt in this
No.
secondary.
They safety ain't the same safety that was playing against us. The boy that played that game and he got hurt, man. The boy was playing like I swear, boy's gonna lead the league in tackles. That safety
That
that plays for.
secondary need help. Well, one I can say they usually need a little bit of secondary help. Two, they really need the pass rush. They do not have a pass rush really to pressure no quarterback. But I would say another safety, and then you got to try to find some pass rushes somewhere.
Yeah. What about the young boy? Did he do good this year?
Right now, they almost. I think they're still like bottom 30 for giving up like the most points in the game. I'm just like, they still not pretty. This game was good for their record. Only giving up 7 to 10 points is wonderful, but just they can't stop nobody really. It's like, man.
A rookie, Aiden Hutchinson, who they drafted, I think was second pick in the draft. 6 sacks on the year. He has 6 sacks, 2 interceptions.
Well, he
Now,
had a
it's a
good
good
year, I
start, but they
guess.
need more than
Yeah,
that. It's a good start though.
yeah. But he had that shit. He had that shit early though. He
Mm-hmm.
definitely had them joints early.
But yep, Lions improved to 5-7. They blow out the Jaguars.
Mm,
Send Dougie P some help.
mm,
Help me
Uh,
help you.
Next game, Titans Eagles. Eagles put up the 35er, 35-10, moved to 11-1. Titans go to 7-5. I mean, it was
They're not a good team either, huh?
Henry just 30 yards on the ground. The Eagles was not playing that. It was it
They
was
they're
no
not a
good
good they're
team.
not a good team either, right?
They middle of the pack.
Tannehill just
Well,
141
let's put it like
passing.
this: it's no good teams in the league no more. That's what we need to just realize.
You want me to
Oh,
lie on the Titans and say the Titans are wonderful, bro? First off, Traylon Burks got in a concussion protocol. No. First
saying
off,
that.
they're gonna
I'm
go
not
into it.
saying that.
Traylon Burks got into a concussion protocol early in the freaking game. That's their best wide
No,
receiver. So that was already taken out for one.
no, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying what I'm saying is that it's no good teams in the league. Really, like it's really no good teams in the league. Man, to really
There's
say that.
plenty of good teams in the league.
How?
They just
I
not
mean,
on y'all
except if
schedule.
They got some of them. They had 7-4 before we played them, right?
Bro, like you putting way too much stake in people's records. Like we understand as football people that the games you play and the record, you can't control your schedule. We understand that. But there is more to a game than just the people that you beat. When you look at the schedule, you can understand, okay, if I have a bunch of easy games on my schedule, yes, I can say that I'm undefeated. I can say that I'm 11-1. I can say that I'm 9-3. I can say that I'm 10-2. I can say that all day long. But if I actually look at the level of competition, and there is no competition there, then yes, we can raise questions of if you're put to the test, are you actually the team that your schedule or your record say that you are? That is a legitimate question.
Remember when the Rams back in the day they just came out of nowhere and they just started winning. They won the Super Bowl that year. Remember that?
Yeah, remember that started in the playoffs?
Huh?
Yeah, remember that started in the playoffs, and remember the same questions were asked about them, where that they
Yeah.
always beat on like the bad teams, and they like no they
Because
struggle against good teams, right?
because
That's a legitimate question.
Because their division was ass in the beginning in that around that time. The West AFC West was the worst at that time.
Last year?
No. Listen to me. I'm talking about with Kurt Warner and all of them was there. Remember that?
greatest show on turf ran.
Yeah, remember that
Oh Lord.
they had one of the worst teams that year. They got Marshall Falk and they drafted great offense and they luckily got what's his name in his lap. Fucking the nigga working at the supermarket. What's his name? Kurt Warner. Kurt Warner.
Mhm.
He just came from the supermarket and worked with him. And
Right,
next thing you know, they became the best. They became one of the best teams. Everybody's talking about they wasn't good because the division ain't playing. At that time, San Fran was ass. Fucking Arizona was ass. Everybody that was in the division was ass, but them. Then when they came in, they swept the whole league. And the next thing in the playoff, they just started winning because they was blowing everybody out. Everybody was talking that, but look at that. They won the Super Bowl, right?
Yeah. You know the main difference between that and the
no,
Eagles? One, y'all division is not trash. Two, your schedule is the easy part with on. Your schedule is mean the other teams outside of your division.
Listen, their schedule at that time was easy as shit.
But
We literally just bought their division. Their division is fine. And I'm not saying your division, but a legitimate question can be asked that if your schedule is easy, are you really the team that you say you are if you don't play any quality level opponents? You know, another good example of this, like 2 years ago, the Steelers. The Steelers were undefeated all the way to 12 wins, and everybody had the same thing. They had an easier schedule, and when they actually played harder competitive teams, they got exposed. And so I'm not saying that the Eagles are that team. What I'm saying is that it is a legitimate question that you ask, is that if your schedule or your quality opponent is easy, then it's legitimate to say we can wait until you get a higher quality opponent to play so that we can actually see how your team gets tested against metal against other good quality teams.
when people say that, I feel like that just completely nullifies the phrase of any given Sunday. You know what I mean? If we just going
And it nullified the phase, they nullified the phase of that. What are these niggas in the NFL for? Just to be bums?
it's just like you play who on your schedule. Like you have no idea coming in the year. Well, some teams you kind of have.
We all create our schedule. That it's just they randomly choose what division we get every year. It's every other year is a different division in the AFC and NFC.
But in this
we
game,
don't judge that. We don't pick that.
380 yards passing.
Any given Sunday is a legitimate question because you can just oops and have a loss, and most people can account for that. But when we're talking about like actual like Super Bowl contending teams, there's no such thing as any given Sunday in the playoffs because in the playoffs you are there because you deserve to be there, and so you actually have to bring your best game on those given Sundays. If you don't, then that's just on your team. So any given Sunday is fine for the regular season. And even when we're looking at the Eagles, you know what the Eagles' predictions were when it came to the year? The Eagles were never supposed to be undefeated, and most people never figured they would be. Their predictions was 14-3, which I perfectly agreed with. Because then, like, most likely they will lose on average 2 to 3 games out of their entire schedule. Because what's gonna happen on any given Sunday, they'll probably lose an oops game, and then maybe they'll lose 2 more against maybe some team like that. That was what would be expected of them. So far, it's looking close to that they're gonna get like no more than 3 losses.
Yeah, because I had them, but I had them at 12-5.
So it's just like they overachieving a little bit for some people think, but it's like, okay, we looked at their schedule and figured that they would dominate. But that's still gonna be a legitimate question. It's like, okay, we figured they dominate their easy schedule, but like, can we look at their good team and see if they're gonna be that top quality Super Bowl looking team that we say that?
Can I ask you in the beginning of the season, did we know these dudes was gonna be ass? No, we didn't. Nobody knows nobody. We didn't know Green Bay was gonna be ass, bro.
Green Bay, no. Green Bay, we're not saying that. We look at their schedule and figured that this could be ass.
Listen, we didn't look at Green Bay was gonna be ass. What's another team? This was a couple teams on our schedule that we did not know we was gonna be ass. Huh?
I said, do we think the Cardinals was gonna be ass?
No, we didn't think that either. No, we didn't.
Boy, please. Ain't nobody have the Cardinals. Ain't nobody have the Cardinals looking wonderful. We knew the Cardinals were questionable. What are you talking about?
Can you show me a picture of something that you said the Cardinals were gonna be ass at the beginning of the season?
You know because you know the basic thing about it. Did we know DeAndre Hopkins was gonna be missing for the first 6 games? Yup. Did we say they were gonna struggle that?
Did we know he shot some HGH in his fucking arm, nigga?
Yes. We knew he was gonna be missing for the first 6 games of the season. We instantly knew they were gonna have problems. What are you talking about? We knew from the beginning he was missing for 6 games. You know, everybody figured, all right, that means the Cardinals finna struggle. Because what happens to the Cardinals every year? They struggle at the end of the season, and now they finna struggle at the beginning. You know what happened? They struggled at the beginning.
He missed more than 6 games, didn't he? He missed like 8. He missed like 8 games, didn't he?
DeAndre Hopkins missed 6 games.
Something like that.
He played the first 2 games.
But all right, Eagles in this game.
He missed the first 6.
Yeah, first 6.
He missed the first 6 games.
I thought he came in the half. Oh no, Winston got the half. Deshaun Watson.
Yeah.
I'm gonna ask you a question. Did Jalen Hurts after this game? Is he now the front runner for the MVP?
Yeah, I mean he was front runner to me all season.
MVP, like I'm not like he is a front runner. Like I give him like probably top 3. Like it's really rough because MVP is somewhere between like Pat Mahomes, Joe Burrow stepped in there a little bit. Jalen Hurts has always been there from the beginning of the season. So MVP is really ugly because it's always more than just the wins. Like that's when they look at stuff like quality, yards, all that kind of stuff matters. So it's very iffy. He is a front runner, but I don't put nobody just the absolute front runner for MVP right now. I'm just gonna be real with you because it's too close. It's too ugly. Like if Jalen Hurts is gonna look wonderful.
So what record do the Eagles have to have for him to win MVP?
See, that's the thing about it. Like, it's more than just your record.
It's really going to come down to that record, yo.
It's more than just your record when it comes to MVP.
If our coach win coach of the year, I promise you he win MVP.
No, it's more than just your record. It's more than, cause matter of fact, if he gets coach of the year, stuff like that's going to take away from him.
No, what?
Yes, it would, because they're gonna be like, okay, your coach was amazing. You had wonderful wide receivers in addition to you. You had a wonderful defense. You had wonderful things, and it helps to take away from that kind of stuff.
Well, the main question been in the beginning of the season: can Jalen Hurts take his team to the top? And he did it. That was the main question that everybody is in the whole league. Can he do it? He did it.
Yeah.
So now that's the reason why he should be winning.
Just because he did what everybody hoped he would do doesn't necessarily mean he deserves an MVP honor. That's not what they mean.
They say can he do it?
It was like, can he actually make this jump? Because we're going to give him a arguably top 5 to top 10 wide receiver in addition to the one he already had on his squad. And they're like, bro, the real question was like, it's not that can he do it? It's like, okay, can he do it or we're going to get rid of you next year? Because he had the same question that Tua Tagovailoa had on him because they did the same thing for Tua. It's like, okay, if we give you everything, can you show that you can actually lead the team and like do what we expect you to do, or are you gonna falter and we're gonna get rid of you?
He might, and they might lose it.
All right, now
They might.
before we get into the next,
Miami might fall.
Shoot, ain't no Mike, boy. They already falling.
Yeah,
these are
shit.
your MVP candidates, right? Patrick Mahomes. You got Patrick Mahomes, Jalen Hurts, Josh Allen, Tua Tagovailoa, and Lamar Jackson are your top 5.
Lamar
Favorites
Jackson
to
out for
win the
3 weeks now.
MVP.
He
Yeah,
out for 3 weeks, so he done.
Hurts and Mahomes. Yeah, so he probably out now. So it's just between Hurts, Mahomes, Tua, and Josh Allen.
Well, you
But
know, crazy
Hurts
thing
and
about
Mahomes
they don't
are
put
your
wide
top.
receivers up there because they should clearly have what's name should be top 3 for real too. Jefferson should be top 3. I don't know why, but he should be.
It's because the MVP is always stereotyped in favor to
Quarterback.
quarterbacks. It's always
Yeah.
stereotyped in favor to a quarterback.
The MVP in recent history, AP. I mean, the last couple of years was Adrian Peterson. Other than that, it was straight quarterback.
Right
what's
now,
what's the name was too, right? Wasn't it what's the name get it? The running back. You ain't never get it?
Oh, Derrick Henry? Derrick Henry didn't get it.
Oh damn, that's crazy.
It's always been steered toward quarterbacks.
Because
I had to make a guess.
Barry Sanders got his 2000, they gave him MVP.
It's really between Patrick Mahomes and Jalen Hurts right now. Josh Allen just did fine, but Josh Allen has been like sort of a bit inconsistent in like his performances in games. And Lamar now and that's like
I think that dropped his stock for that 49ers loss.
That 49ers loss basically killed a lot of what Tua would have had going. Like unless he just balls the freak out for the rest of the year, I don't see Tua. Like it's really me between Patrick Mahomes and Jalen Hurts, at least for the moment. It's between those two, and that's like Patrick Mahomes has a very easy schedule going forward, so he can pad his stats, unless like some oopses or something. Like he'll be able to pad his stats well. Jalen Hurts, they have an easy schedule as well, but it's not as easy because it's a couple of games that'll make him be like a bit more challenging stats wise. So it's really close between the two of them, at least going forward. So Jalen gonna have to ball out in like a bit tougher situations. And the reason I say that is because Pat Mahomes, he literally has like a Raiders game, 2 games against the Broncos. Like he has some games where he can like pad his stats. Like it's some easy games on his schedule. Like it's a couple games that he could lose or something like that, but just stat wise, he's gonna end up looking really good at the end of the year. So Jalen's gonna have to keep that up. Like the performance he just gave against the Titans, he'll have to keep doing that. And his advantage is that he'll be able to throw in running touchdowns as well to make it look really nice. So it's gonna be close between the two of them unless some other surprise pop up, like unless Josh Allen, Tua, somebody just balls the freak out. I can't call it though. Like I said, that's close between them. I can't call that one right now.
Let's get into the next game, and it was the return, of Mr. Rubbin Tug himself. You know what I mean? Deshaun Watson. Houston Texans. The Browns won this game 27-14, large in part because of their defense. They improved to 5-7. Texans fall to 1-10-1, the worst team in the NFL. I mean, got 2 top 10 draft picks, including the number 1 pick right now, if the season ended today. But Deshaun Watson, understandably rusty, has not played football in over like 700 days, 2 years. So he was 12 of 22, $131, 1 interception. Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt combined for over 136 yards rushing. But like I said, it was the defense. They didn't really need him to produce on offense because their defense produced 3 touchdowns. I mean, got a scoop and score. The defense had 2 touchdowns, a scoop and score, a pick 6, and then a punt return, which gave them, all the points they needed. But, we knew the Texans is trash, so we don't even got to go into them. Free Dameon Pierce, but he going to be there for another 3 years at least. What do we think about Sean's performance? Like, what was your takeaway? Besides the obvious rust.
Yeah, he looked about as much as I expected him to look, to be real with you. Like, he ain't played football in 2 years. Yeah, he a talented quarterback, at least back in the time he was playing, but he ain't played football in 2 years. And then, as far as I remember, he only practiced with the Browns, I think, this week, like actually throwing passes and stuff to him. So he don't have no familiarity with them, no cohesion with them, no, at least out on the field and stuff. And throwing passes in practice it ain't nothing on like actual game time. So combine that with he going back to, the team he been like against the team he's been on since he came into the league with some of his accusers literally in the stands or like in the suite, whatever, with them. Like, well, he probably has some of the most emotions I've ever seen. I imagine on somebody's mind coming back into a game after 2 years. So it was a mess probably going on in his head, and then trying to throw passes and all that kind of stuff. So glad he was able to win his first game and at least like shake some of the rust off, shake some of the mental webs off his head. And to be real, it might be a little rough for him. Just trying to get back into the familiarity of the football game after 2 years, trying to find his talent and all that stuff back. But I figure maybe by 3-4 games he'll start to get a little bit more rhythm and start to look a little bit better. I give him that, like a little bit better. But I don't expect no 300-yard, 4-touchdown game like against Tom Brady. I ain't expecting that this year. Like that'd be next year, but he'll look a little better. Hopefully.
Shout out to Jeff Bailey. I understand, Broncos fan. I know y'all hurting. You know what I mean? I know y'all hurting. Broncos country. Let's ride.
I rolled with Russ for like 10 weeks, bro. I had to let
Broncos
go.
country. Let's ride. Broncos country. Let's ride. Broncos country. Let's ride.
Boy, I was in Russ We Trust for like 10 weeks, bro. I couldn't do it.
Listen, my thoughts on this game, exactly what I knew the Browns was going to win because they had a superior defense. So if anything, the defense would carry them to victory. I thought the Texans, because of who they were playing against and the whole stigma of the game, they would come out a little bit more inspired, try to, steal a victory. But a bad team is a bad team. And they lost like a bad team would. Deshaun really didn't have to do anything. He had pedestrian numbers, but that's expected from a man who, as I said, has not played football in over 700 days. So you get better at football by playing football. No matter how talented you are, you can't take that much of a time off, forced time off, and expect to be, the top 3 or 5 quarterback that he was when he was playing. So Browns improved to 5-7, still with a little outside chance to get into the playoffs. There's still 6 games. No, there's still 5 games remaining. So, maybe they could go on a little win streak. Who knows? I doubt it's going to happen. You know what I mean? So let's get
they
to
can't go on no win. I'm just saying they can't go on no win streak, and Jacoby Brissett plays better than Deshaun Watson. Right. They can't go on that, but we can keep going.
The next game was the only tie of the day. We had the New York Football Giants against the Washington Commanders. 20-20. Commanders go to 7-5-1. Giants are 7-4-1. Taylor Heineke, 275 yards passing, 2 touchdowns. Brian Robinson has completely taken the job from Antonio Gibson. 21 carries, 96 yards. Scary Terry, over 100 yards receiving and a touchdown. Jahan Dotson, a rookie, also had a touchdown. For the Giants, we had Danny Dimes, 200 yards exactly. Daniel Jones also had 71 yards on the ground. Saquon had 63 yards and a touchdown. And we had Isaiah Hodgins scoring a receiving touchdown of the game. So, it was a, defensive battle. I mean, Giants had 4 sacks on defense.
Man, look, like I know that they probably gonna try to give it to the Eagles coach, but Brian Dable, that man dang near deserves coach of the year. I'm sorry, if he makes the playoffs, that man will get all of my vote for coach of the year. Like to take that team, working with Danny Dimes and no cohesion of wide receiver. I ain't gonna say they ain't got just no really good one, but there's no cohesion of wide receiver. And Saquon Barkley, and you're like, you know what? We finna make this make sense. But man is a genius. I give him props to him. Now I'm a bit saddened that, freaking Taylor Heineke and a few of them had to settle for a tie So now they just gonna be in limbo trying to decide this freaking last playoff spot. But it is what it is. The teams are roughly similar in about how good you expect from them. So
Right.
I mean, we'll see. But it's a bit saddened, but oh freaking well.
Uh, yes, the only tie of the day I had was my picks, my parlay. I had the Giants winning, but the tie fucked me over. But yeah, 20-20. It's about what you expect from. I think both of these teams are very even on paper. You know what I mean? With the slight edge, I guess, for the Giants in the running game because of Saquon Barkley. Taylor Heineke, I think I can confidently say he's probably a better passer than Daniel Jones. But you know, 20-20, that's that game. Giants, Commanders. Next game on the list, we had the trash can game of the day. The Denver Broncos versus the Baltimore Ravens. We had Lamar Jackson go out early in this game, so you would have thought, okay, Lamar's out. Denver, y'all got this. Y'all got Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson balled out a whopping 17 to 22, 189 yards passing. You know what I mean? No touchdowns on offense, 3 field goals. Shout out to the Broncos defense. Like y'all are just God bless you. But yeah, Russell Wilson loses to Tyler Huntley. Huntley had 187 yards and an interception. You know, also ran for 41 yards and a touchdown, the only touchdown of the game, which was ultimately the deciding factor. And the Ravens were able to get this win without Lamar Jackson, who we now learn with I believe it's a PCL sprain, he'll be out for at least 1 to 3 weeks. So this is definitely a win that they needed against an inferior opponent, which is the Broncos, the biggest disappointment of this NFL season by far. Broncos 3-9, Ravens go to 8-4.
If I couldn't put into words how disappointed I was in the Broncos on this particular Sunday, simply because they could not muster 11 points against a Ravens team who did not have Lamar Jackson, who has basically been carrying that team. Had questionable defense the entire year. They've been known to give up leads in the fourth quarter all year. Had a backup quarterback in who only managed to muster 3 points the entirety of the game was what the offense did up until the last drive of the game. And they could not muster 11 to 12 points. Like, I think they missed the last long distance field goal of the game, but they could not muster 12 points. I cannot tell you how disappointed I was in just Russell Wilson. Like, this is just the epitome of their entire season. Like, they just cannot make it work on offense, like at all. Like, you could not muster 12 points. I think I've seen things like Russell Wilson has less touchdowns than Carson Wentz. And Carson Wentz has not scored a touchdown since week 6. And this is week 13. This is just unreal. And it's not like they don't have people to throw to. We've been trying to force it to Cortland Sutton. Jerry Jeudy is solid. It is just, now, are they as good as, DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett? No, probably not. But just like, it is disappointing me just how much of a fallback we have seen from the Broncos offense. It's unreal. Worst scoring offense in the league, I believe. And they just, like, it's blame to go around. Sure, we can throw it on, some injuries on the offense from the beginning, starting off with Tim Patrick missing a year and stuff like that. We could throw it on, Hackett, their head coach that's probably going to get fired at the end of this season. I'm surprised they ain't fired now, but it is what it is. You go ahead and let them ride it out. And then Russell Wilson, it shocks me just how far back he has come. It literally shocks me. I like, he's only 33, 34, I think, one of like 33, 34. So still has plenty of good quarterbacking years left on average. Like, on average. And it just, I understand everybody's not going to be Aaron Rodgers. Everybody's not going to be Tom Brady. But it shocks me that you go from last year producing like Russ Cook, had the injury, but still managed to come back and throw relatively fine his last few games. And we go 6 to 8 months, and my man cannot find the end zone, can't find really consistency on offense. Nothing doesn't even resemble the Russ of last year. It's just sad to watch at this point. I can't believe it. I'm really in shock at just how far back that entire offense just has come. I can't believe it, man. That's sad to watch. They could not muster 9 points. I couldn't even be mad at the defense for giving up a touchdown at the end of the game, because look, the whole game they done kept them to 3 points, whole game, and they couldn't even get 12.
They were tired. 272 total yards by the Broncos in this game. Just 9 first downs. No, 12 first downs. They were 2 of 12 on third down. The difference in this game, the Ravens, 3 of 3 on fourth down. But Russell Wilson, this cliff that he's falling off, the cliff that Max Kellerman said that Tom Brady was going to fall off, that was the cliff Russell Wilson fell off, because his stats from this year to next year is night and day. Like, it's completely crazy how bad this offense is, how bad the offense looks. I don't know if it's because of Russ or is it because of Nathaniel Hackett, but we know because they paid Russ over $200+ million, he's not going anywhere. Nathaniel Hackett, he's going to get fired. So hopefully they can bring in somebody that got some offensive type of guru in them, you know what I mean, to get this team together. But yeah, it was a bad loss, bad season overall by the Broncos,
and they still got 5 games to go.
Still got 5 games to go. Yikes.
Oh, God.
Just
Broncos
one more
country.
time.
Let's ride. Broncos country. Let's ride. Broncos country. Let's ride.
That's right. But next game, we got a couple more games to get through. 49ers, Dolphins. It's actually a matchup of 2 good teams. Dolphins fall to 8-4. 49ers go to 8-4. They win 33-17. Tua, 18-33, 295, 2 TDs, 2 picks. Also, Skylar Thompson came in and threw an interception as well. So they had 3 picks. Couldn't really run the ball, just 33 yards on 8 carries. Tyreek Hill, 146 yards, touchdown. Jalen Waddle was shut out, one catch for 9 yards. Just not a good game offensively for the Miami Dolphins. Jimmy Garoppolo done, 2 of 4, 56 yards, breaks his foot. Brock Purdy comes in, goes 25 of 37, 210 and 2 TDs. They were able to get the running game going, over 117 yards rushing between the 2 running backs. Christian McCaffrey also had 80 yards receiving and a touchdown. So, 49ers came in. They held the fort down without Jimmy Garoppolo. The defense did their job. I think they got the number 1 defense in the NFL, if I'm not mistaken. So the defense came in, did their job. I feel like this is definitely a game when you lose Jimmy Garoppolo as the Dolphins, you got to win this. Tua, you an MVP candidate. Is no way you should be losing to Brock Purdy. You know what I mean? It's a bad loss. As we said before, it hurts his MVP stock. But I am impressed that the 49ers were able to get this game won without Jimmy Garoppolo. And now it looks like Brock Purdy will probably be the starter for the remainder of the season. So, are they in trouble? Or are they good?
Like, I know we looked up, like, I think it was a report going around where it was like, okay, Jimmy doesn't need surgery, so it's a possibility he could come back late in the season. I don't necessarily like the idea of, trying to get him back quick or anything of that nature. That's one thing. But even with that, I think the Dolphins was like missing one of their main tackles, and then they've already had tackle problems on the other side again. So they pass rush of the 49ers just put Tua in all kinds of trouble. And, he struggled all day, couldn't get the ball off. And then time he got it off, they just couldn't score. And the 49ers just dominated. Purdy came in there looking like the next coming of freaking Kurt Warner or somebody. Like, he just came in there slanging that mud like he'd been waiting for this opportunity. Like he's Tom Brady in the 7th round. Came in there slanging ready We're gonna see what Purdy got. This is the year of the backup quarterback. We done seen Sam Darnold, Kyle Allen, friggin' Baker Mayfield. We finna see Purdy. Like we Matt, freaking Mike White is over there in Jetland. So we finna see some bad quarterbacks. So Purdy, it's your time. Let's see if you can keep the starting job, get the hot hand, and ride out into the playoffs. And let's see if you can do that Nick Foles joint. It's fine because we can look at the 49ers. The 49ers are stacked. They're stacked from top to bottom. Stacked the receivers, stacked the running back, stacked everything on defense. They have the squad. And so it just the question has always been the leader. It's always been the quarterback. We've had Garoppolo questions. So still have Trey Lance questions. We'll see them answer next year, hopefully. And we'll see what Purdy got. So hopefully he's able to keep the ship going well. I wish nothing but success for him. Dolphins, they might have got a little bit exposed. So now them Super Bowl chants and all that, I don't quite know how that's gonna go. Next week they ain't gonna look too much better because I think next week they got to go against Buffalo, or at least in 2 weeks they'll go against Buffalo. It's not gonna be much better coming in this future. Their schedule not gonna get any easier. At least not next week. So it's just what it is. We'll see what the 49ers got. Can they keep their ship going alive? They was one of the hottest teams. They won like 5 straight. And they right now it's still a fight for their division with the Seattle Seahawks. Seahawks are 7-5. They're a game back on them, but if they go on this losing streak or anything, it's gonna get a little rough for 49er land.
An hour.
And it just so happens that our registered 49er fan decides to step in right when we're talking about the 49ers.
I have prior obligations. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so we're not mad at you. It's wonderfully convenient you came in when we were talking about your 49ers.
Yeah,
so
it's wonderfully convenient that Jimmy G doesn't need surgery, so he'll be back in for playoff time.
Do not rush that man back. If Purdy got the hot hand, you ride Purdy through the playoffs.
We're riding Purdy because we didn't sign Baker Mayfield. The fuck?
Man, I don't know if Baker would have been the answer, but if you ride if Purdy got the hot hand, you ride Purdy through the playoffs, even if Jimmy G ready. You ride Purdy with the hot hand.
We're not saying all that, but
hallelujah.
We're not doing this today, Aisha. We're not doing this. Hello, Aisha. It's wonderful to see you.
Were you dead?
No, I never was. Because I'm always alive.
This game, I believe, large in part because look at the time of possession. They had the ball 40 minutes compared to the Dolphins 19. Like, that's almost that's 20 plus minutes where they possess the ball.
Right. Defense wins games last I checked. And we got the best defense in the league. And he's adding up.
Yeah, defense can win games, but you need defense and offense to take everything.
Yeah,
so with 5 games left, does he need to at least go 2-3 to get the Niners in the playoffs? Just 2-3.
We're 8-4. We're chilling.
That game up on Seattle.
We have a game up on everybody. We're undefeated in the division.
See, this is what I say. If you're talking about like the number of games Purdy needs to win, he needs to win at least 2 games, and they have to beat the Seahawks in the second time they play them.
Oh, listen. We got the Bucks next. I think that's a good win for us.
I think that'd be a solid win. I agree.
That's not. The Bucks they aren't who they were.
The Bucks can't score. Like Tom Brady did a miracle last night. We got it, but I agree.
So the biggest game is the Seahawks. It's the Thursday nighter. So we're coming off a short schedule with that. After that, we play Saturday randomly on fucking Christmas Eve against the Commanders. That should be a win. And then nobody believes in the Raiders. And then we will smoke the Dolphins. I mean, not the Dolphins, the Cardinals. Sorry. So Brock Purdy needs to win. Brock Purdy needs to win the next 3.
Like the only thing about it that I'm always afraid on the 49ers is just offensively, I don't know what 49ers team is going to appear. Which is why I say if they can win at least 2 and just as long as one of those 2 wins, if they win only 2 out of 5, if one of those wins are against Seattle, then they'll get in the playoffs and they'll win the division regardless. They need to win at least 2, and one of them have got to beat Seattle. If they don't beat Seattle, then this is going to be a problem.
We got to beat Tom Brady in Seattle. That'll just prove everything.
Running the ball and defense, and they'll be fine.
I'm just worried. I don't need to give another 13-point performance like with the Saints. I need another 33 one like, we just had. But, Purdy, and there's a difference between, you get the backup quarterback who comes in mid-game and you can't scheme and you can't look for nothing, so they look good in that, like Mike White did when his 5-touchdown game or whatever. And then next, the next week after you've had a chance to scheme and look at them, okay, now we know how to deal with it. So it's gonna be a bigger test to see what Purdy actually looks like. But at least he does have a full week to actually like get the reps in, get the familiarity in, get the game plan in, and we'll see what Tom Brady and them, because it's gonna be a good defense. So like I don't expect Tom Brady to score, like nobody really does. But
don't get me
it'll be
wrong.
a good defensive test. It'll be a good defensive test.
Purdy threw his pick and then he got sacked 3 times, but he can move in the pocket, and he's fine.
It'll be good. It's a good defense because like the Bucs don't play on defense, so it'll be a good defensive game to test him. But I think if he can get through this and look as solid as he did against the Dolphins, like say 250, 270. I ain't gonna go that far. 250, 2 touchdowns, maybe 1 pick. I think that'll be solid. I think that'll be fine. That'll be what you need to do.
I got Nick Bosa in 2 sacks in this one.
Oh, here we go.
Fred Warner gets a pick.
Oh, here we go.
We had the next game on the slate. The Seattle Seahawks versus the Matthew Stafford-less Los Angeles Rams, and now the newly Baker Mayfield-led Rams. But Seattle wins 27-23, moves to 7-5. Rams fall to 3-9. One of the worst returning Super Bowl teams I've ever seen in my life.
So that means Odell's not going back to LA.
I got a quick. Why did they sign Baker Mayfield? I'm legitimately curious. Why? Like they season over. Like they already had sat Stafford down. Like Stafford was like, okay, we're just gonna sit you down. We done with this. Cup ain't there. They season wash. Why did you sign Baker Mayfield? For what purpose? Like it ain't like you finna rescue and go 8-9 and fall into a wild card. No, that's not. It's finna go. I don't even understand why they signed him. Like, what was the point?
Finish your season off with John Wolford or Baker Mayfield?
It don't matter. They both gonna be losses most likely. I don't got Cooper Kupp. What does it matter who's behind center? Like at this point, I don't blame Baker because hey, it's a job. I'm cool with him because he won't be in the NFL. That's fine. If he happens to look good in any of these games, it'll be another redemption story and another hope that he can keep.
Listen, I heard John Wolford's hurt, so
they say Baker just comes in,
Well, if Wolford hurt, then fine. I get it. If Wolford hurt, then I get it.
But shout out to Geno Smith, comeback player of the year easily. 367 yards, 3 touchdowns.
Whoa. Now we turn on Saquon?
Comeback player of the year.
Boy, Geno is a miracle story. Nobody saw that coming. We could have seen if Saquon stay healthy, he'd be fine. But boy, Geno Smith balling?
Now we turn on Saquon. All right.
It's a party. What was the reason? Yeah. This was Seahawks. We had a Kenneth Walker ankle injury in this game, so look out for your fantasy teams on that one. Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf went off. Lockett 9 for 128 and a touchdown. Metcalf 8 for 127 and a touchdown. And we also had a Noah Fant sighting in the end zone. He had a touchdown as well. But John Wolford, bad game, 2 interceptions. Just 178 yards.
A bad quarterback.
2 touchdowns for Cam Akers. I mean, Rams are just probably the worst Super Bowl champion, team I've ever seen in my life.
That's the worst Super Bowl hangover I ever seen.
Right. You expect usually in the NFL, the curse is the team that loses the Super Bowl is the worst team the next year, not the team that wins it. So the Bengals actually reverse that, because they're actually better than the Rams are. So, maybe, the Von Miller and Odell departures are the biggest reasons why they're bad. And then also Cooper Kupp is injured. Matthew Stafford.
It's a lot. Like it's just a lot of stuff just didn't go their way. Their defense took a step back. Their pass rush took it. Well, their pass rush took their defense took a step back. Their defense took a step back. Offensively, I think it was more of the.
They still got I still think they got Jalen Ramsey, Bobby Wagner, and Aaron Donald. don't know how you're taking a step back.
It still has. People are throwing however the heck they want on them, and it's just it took. I can't say why. I don't know why, but it took a step back there. Allen Robinson just did not work out the way we thought it would compared to Robert Woods. It just did not work out. They did not get the familiarity or anything of that nature. So their points per game ought to took a step back. And then, of course, they didn't have Odell. So they were basically missing one weapon, and the other weapon never got, like, the gun never fired. So they just, the points wise, they didn't do it. And you just, Matt Stafford started struggling with injuries midway through the season, like one concussion, then another questionable injury, and it was like, no, just shut it down, and just it wasn't going. And I'm gonna be real, this is sort of like the backlash of what happens when you go all in for a year. If it goes through or not, you start to pay them dues, because it's not gonna get much better as the years go on. They missing first round picks. A lot of that team getting older. Stafford getting older. I don't know how much. No, you just signed Aaron Donald to an extension, but it's like team getting older, and the bill finna start coming to get due, so it's finna start missing some more pieces. I don't know how much better it's gonna get going forward for them Rams, but it ain't pretty right now.
They got a lot of holes to fill. I mean, they need another corner. They need a running game. They need a solid number 2 receiver. I mean, they need a tight end because Cam Akers trash. I mean? Tyler Higbee isn't a solid tight end. You know what I mean? It's just a bad team overall. Sean McVay, free Sean McVay. But next game, you had the Las Vegas Raiders. Yeah, free Sean McVay. Las Vegas, Sean McVay to the Broncos. Let's go.
Broncos country. Let's ride.
Raiders, Chargers. Chargers are the biggest conundrum to me. Everybody had them as a early Super Bowl pick, and for some reason they win a game, they lose a game, they win a game, they lose a game. But they lose to the Raiders.
Y'all believe in Jay Herbo. I don't.
Hey, shout out to Jay Herbo. You know what I mean? But Raiders win this game 27-20. They improved to 5-7. Chargers fall to 6-6. Justin Herbert had 335 yards passing, a touchdown. Running game really wasn't much. Austin Eckler just 35 yards on 10 carries. Keenan Allen had a touchdown reception, 6 receptions, 88 yards. And for the Raiders, you had Derek Carr throw for 250, only completed 16 of 30. Josh Jacobs with a hell of a resurgence he's having this year. 26 carries, $144 and a touchdown. And the only receiver that it's Green Bay all over again, but Devontae Adams, 8 receptions, 177, 2 TDs. So out of these two teams, who has been more disappointing? The Raiders or the Chargers?
The Chargers.
Lies. It's the Raiders. What are we talking about here?
Y'all believe in the Raiders? Stop it.
No, I believe the Raiders would be decent at least this year. Like, look at it this way. Like, the Chargers, they did what I expected them to do. Like, basically, I wasn't on this Chargers Super Bowl train like that. Like, I believe the Chargers are a good team, and they made some good signings on the offseason. So that's fine. I expect the Chargers to be, like, slightly better than what they were. But them being the way that they are now, that's fine. I'm not mad at that. But the Raiders were a playoff team last year. The Raiders had 9 wins. They had 9 wins last year. They made the playoffs. And then you add a top 3 wide receiver in the league, and somehow you are significantly worse. That is a far disappointment. Like, they don't even have the only way they can make the playoffs is one, to win out, and then they will have to get some other teams to hopefully go bad, but then they'll just like luck their way into the playoffs. They have been an abomination this year. Like, they have been legitimately too bad for the offense they have put on paper. Now, they've had some injuries. I know Darren Waller's had like a bit of a rough year sometimes, injuries, stuff like that. But regardless, they should not be this bad. I'm sorry, McDaniels needs to go. McDaniels needs to be a one and done.
Hold on.
That's ridiculous.
The Chargers have Justin Herbert, who's top 10 quarterback. Austin Eckler, who is at least a top 15 running back. You want to be underrated? Fine. That's fine with me. Keenan Allen, Mike Williams. I know Keenan Allen didn't play a numerous amount of weeks. And the defense is supposed to be top notch. Melvin Ingram, Bosa,
Lil Mac, J.P. Jackson,
returning the Mac. They got one of the top corners in the league. And you mean tell me Jay Herbo wasn't supposed to just? I heard he was supposed to just do it. The Raiders are going to be the Raiders. Their vehicle is going to do what it needs to do, and Devontae Adams not going to be able to do it by himself.
Like we could say that. We could say, yeah, the Raiders are going Raider. Like, it's one thing to say that, okay, the Chargers are like probably overrated, though they have a bunch of signings on paper, but people like J.C. Jackson, like Chargers, one thing about it, have had the injury bug the entire season. Keenan Allen, after the first game of the season, basically got injured. He had to ride out. Mike Williams rolled out for 4 games, and he got injured for like 2 to 3 games. He got injured for 2 games, rolled out their bye week, got re-injured the week he came back, and has been gone ever since that week. So Mike Williams has been missing for like 5 weeks. They've been missing Keenan Allen for like 4 weeks. J.C. Jackson was injured from the beginning of the year onward. So like they've been bitten by the injury bug in a lot of different ways. Heck, even freaking Herbert had like a little rib stint when he got like plastered one good game like midway through the season. So at least I can say, okay, they've been suffering from the injury bug at least a little bit as well as, being slightly overhyped. Whatever, that's fine. But you cannot tell me that that's a bigger surprise that they're 6-6 than the team that made the playoffs last year, had a wonderful signing on defense, and signed a top 3 wide receiver on offense. And did what? No, that's not an excuse. Like the Raiders, the Raiders, you want to say the Raiders want a Raider. The Raiders made the playoffs last year. The Raiders were a good team last year, at least relatively decently speaking. And you add a top 3 wide receiver and you add a top defensive threat, and you're worse? You're worse.
Yo, it's Max Crosby. Max
like,
Crosby
that's like
nothing.
Like, no, that's like me saying that the freaking, like, I ain't going no super high ball team or whatever. Let's just say, for example, the freaking Cowboys, the way they're constructed right now, they're 9-3. Let's say they finish the season and go 12-4. Do something like that. 12-4, 12-5. And then next year they go and they sign Travis freaking Kelce. Like, oh snap, they signed Travis Kelce on their team. They should be even better. And next year they're 8-8. That is a complete shocker. And their team don't change. No, like Chargers, fine. They had the injury bug, so at least somewhat of a reason that they've struggled this season. But there is no reason the Raiders should be worse than what they were last year.
Well, Raiders 5-7, Chargers 6.
Just like, okay, if I put it in defensive personnel purposes, just like when TJ Watt went down, Steelers defense went down. Sometimes it's just that one person. Max Crosby went down.
Let's see, that's nice. That's fine for the Chargers because they've had people go down. The Raiders ain't had nobody go down. The Raiders just went back.
Max Crosby went down. I believe. I could be wrong, but
man, the Raiders, please. The Raiders, no. Like McDaniels needs to go, and the Raiders are gonna have to question themselves on like, why was our team bad? Like,
why did I sign John Gruden for a 10-year deal? To question yourself about that.
They did, and they fired him. And we know that John Gruden wasn't what he said he was. You know what happened the year they fired him? They made the playoffs. Why you're worse this year? Like, you have to remember, last year, not only did they deal with the whole thing with John Gruden, they also had to deal with Henry Ruggs and his mess that went on as well. Their locker room and everything was like on plastered Front Street for ESPN for the better part of 10 weeks, and still made the playoffs. The backup freaking the backup head coach that ended up just stepping in and being the interim head coach, he did a fine job.
Don't forget the Antonio Brown situation.
Like they done had to deal with so much, and they were able to channel all that with an interim head coach and still make the playoffs. Like, regardless, and indeed, like, they didn't do bad. Like, at least the freaking Bengals only beat them by like 1 score, really. So, like, okay, at least they were halfway freaking decent. And you go from that, sign a defensive threat, sign a top 3 wide receiver. Your team don't change other than that, and you're worse. Make that make sense.
It's the Raiders.
Well, speaking of the Raiders, NFC West, you had the Chiefs versus Joe Shiesty and the Bengals. Bengals win 27-24.
We know
Chiefs go to.
We know because they own them. Joe
Bengals
Shiesty
go to
Mahomes.
I mean, Chiefs go to 9-3. Bengals go to 8-4. Shout out to Harrison Butker missing a field goal that would have probably had he made it, it would have been 27-27. So maybe it would have went to overtime. You never know who would have won. But Mahomes had a very pedestrian game: 16-27, 223 yards and a touchdown. You had Isaiah Pacheco, 66 yards. 1 rushing touchdown. McKinnon had 51 yards, so he went over 100 yards. But Just receiving, it was Travis Kelce had a pedestrian game. Marquez Valdez-Scantling led the team in receiving with 71 yards, but he only had 2 receptions. And no other receiver had more than, you had 2 receptions from Scantling, 2 from Pacheco, 3 from Juju, and 4 from Travis Kelce. So, yeah. Mahomes was working with.
Did the Raiders get exposed? I mean, not the Raiders. I'm sorry. The Chiefs get exposed, or just it is what it ain't.
Yeah, definitely.
It's more of like the Chiefs are what I figured they were. See, the Chiefs have had like some lucky breaks on some of these games, like the fact that Malik Willis can't throw in overtime, or like they gonna sit here and just ignore a couple of the games where they've been able to squeak by with wide receivers that are not the best. Like their wide receivers are exactly what they look like in the beginning of the season, like prior to the season. Middle of the pack at best, struggle to get separation, and Travis Kelce carries. That's what their wide receiver thing has been, and that's literally what it is. So I'm not relatively surprised that when they roll up against another attack, it's like, okay, we're not afraid. We can like go toe to toe and squeal away with them. And Mahomes suffered a little bit. Like Tua wasn't the only one that had a stock against his MVP ballot. And I don't know, Pat Mahomes did too. So it's just these kind of games, because we've noticed like against like really good teams, they have struggled sometimes. Like the Bills beat them, the Bengals beat them. So it's just. And they've struggled in some other games where it really shouldn't have, but just sometimes your wide receivers and Kelce can't carry. It's just
So with all that being said, are the Chiefs a top 5 team in the NFL?
I said yes, but I would put them at like what did I say?
Like
between 4 and 6. I think
4,
I said like between 4 and 6.
If you want to say 4, I'm not mad at it. You want to say 5, I'm not mad at it.
But the Chiefs, my thing with them is when you look at the game, Joe Burrow only had 6 incompletions. He was 25 of 31. Samaj P. Ryan ran for 106 yards. Joe Burrow had 46 yards on the ground. Like, they only had 1 sack. Chiefs don't have a defense. They lack pass rush. They lack a strong running game. If Mahomes ain't dicing you up and your defense can't stop nobody, I mean, it's kind of hard for you to get the victory. But Joe Shiesty definitely owns them right now. He's 3-0 in his last 3 games against the Chiefs,
including the AFC Championship.
AFC Championship.
Hey, I heard different from the Chiefs. They got defense and all that other shit. No, they don't. Relax.
Definitely, they don't. But yeah, Chiefs lose that game. We got 2 more games. The blowout of the night, the Colts. Cowboys go to 9-3. Colts 4-8-1. 54-19. It was 21-19 at the end of the third quarter, and then the Cowboys said, "Yeah, you know what? Let me just go ahead and score 33 points in the fourth and blow this game right open." Matt Ryan 3 interceptions. It's just time to take him out the pasture. It's time for him to go home. Jonathan Taylor just 3.9 yards per carry in this game, 82 yards on 21 carries. Cowboys, Dak really ain't have a good game. 20 of 30, 170, 3 TDs and an interception. You had Tony Pollard and Zeke combined for over 168 yards rushing, 3 TDs between them. Even Malik Davis got in and scored him a touchdown. So Michael Gallup sighting, he had 2 picks. I mean, he had 2 touchdowns in this game as well. Just Cowboys beat up on a bad team as they should, even though the Colts kept it close through 3 quarters. But that fourth quarter was just, they bust the door wide open. So what's our thoughts?
Colts are awful. So Colts legacy, right? So Manning leaves, they rush him out the door, get the fuck out of here, go to Denver. We're going Andrew Luck, and Andrew Luck becomes just one of the quarterbacks in the league you just feel sorry for. They don't want to protect him. He gets injured. He got retired early. All this other shit, and then they boo him because if you remember that they booed him because he retired. And then after that, we're just gonna sign quarterbacks that are just done for. It shouldn't be in the league anymore, arguably. So you sign an old Phillip Rivers, you sign Matt Ryan. There's another quarterback in between there somewhere, but
It was Phillip Rivers, Matt Ryan.
Phillip Rivers was done. I don't know how he got signed, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah, but you know,
Other
Carson Wentz blew it last time.
Oh yeah, the Wentz was there. They're just a poor organization. Ever since Payne left, they're just a poor organization. Don't get me wrong, their defense has always been top notch for the beginning of the season, or at least on paper. Jonathan Taylor got his little year. He looks sorry now. I mean, he did get hurt, but the Colts are just a bad team. On paper,
you know, and not forget, Jeff Saturday is the coach. So
Jeff Saturday won fucking one game, and niggas is just like over. Y'all lost to a fucking announcer, the Raiders. But other than that, you know,
the Colts are a joke. I'll say it for you. The Colts are a joke. They are a joke right now. They fire a head coach who has at least a decently solid tenure for somebody who was in the announcer and analyzer booth a week ago. I mean, a week before they signed him. So that was already a joke in and of itself. Not to mention you got Reggie Wayne, or who was a past top level coach for life in your freaking locker room. You have him in your organization. You don't want to move him up, but you go and sign Jeff Saturday. So that was already a joke in and of itself. Matt Ryan past his prime year, but I feel like he did, at least for this year, he did have something left in the tank. But the Colts are a joke. They don't have it. Who is he throwing to? Like we had to talk up Michael Pittman Jr. as his best receiver. Michael Pittman Jr. is a decent average receiver at best currently. Like, he got some spunk and some pep to the step. Like, but he's not supposed to be a top tier number one wide receiver at this stage of his career. That's not Michael Pittman Jr. And that's the best he got. We really can't even name no other receiver barely on his receiving core. Like, he's had nothing to throw to. Jonathan Taylor took a step back. It's like, what is his offense? Like, he has nothing to work with. So besides the fact he passed his prime, he's not good like that.
We were saying that about Aaron Rodgers until Christian Watson woke up and found Jesus in his name.
I mean, he's developing wonderfully, but it doesn't change the fact that Aaron Rodgers still took a step back. But I'm just like, Matt Ryan would have did decently better if he just had something to throw to. Like, last night, like, the game was 21-19. It was fine. Matt Ryan was doing a fine job. You know what happens? Receivers started popping off balls off of their fingertips a couple of times. One person fumbled. Next thing you know, it's 40-19. It's all okay. And then after that, you know what Matt Ryan got to do? We got to start just forcing stuff. And after that, they just pick out the pick. Man, like, who is he throwing? Like, I remember specifically one pick. He threw the ball. It bounces off of one dude's hand straight up into another. Man, like, come on, man. Like, he has nothing to work with at this point. He was already embarrassed this year because they decided to bench him, freaking 7 games into the season. They want to decide to forcibly bench him for freaking Sam Ellinger. And then it's like, oh, this isn't working out. Put Jeff Saturday in. And Saturday, okay, you can go back in now. Like, are you kidding me? Like, this is an embarrassment. A literal embarrassment, just like they did to freaking Eli Manning a couple years back when they benched him and broke his streak. I know the Colts are a joke right now. They are literally a joke.
Are the Colts the worst team in the league?
No. They are a joke. Not the worst team in the league.
The Texans got that one by a mile.
Yeah. The Texans are an abomination right now.
This is what I say about the Colts, because they tied with the Texans, so yikes. Right. But
the Texans are an abomination, right? The Texans, at least with the Colts, I can be like, okay, what they're trying to do is find the quarterback, and then they'll try to like make their way known. The Texans, I don't know what they're trying to do. I don't know their plan. I don't know their future. I don't know their outlook on the next 5 years. I have no clue what the Texans are like, what their idea is with the first pick in the draft and all. I ain't got a clue.
So now, how bad is that loss for the Chiefs? Because they lost to the Colts. How bad is that loss now?
It was a bad loss back then. It's a bad one now. It's just like, Chiefs, y'all just play with your food too much, and here we go.
What they did.
All right, so the last game of Week 13 we seen yesterday was the New Orleans Saints. Fuck New Orleans, you know how I feel. Tampa Bay, you know what I mean? We had Tom Brady working his magic, 14 points in the fourth. Tampa Bay improves to 5-6. New Orleans goes to 4-9. Dalton had 20 of 28, 229 in the touchdown. Alvin Kamara's 2.2 yards a carry. Yikes. I mean, just bad overall offense by the Saints. You know, Taysom Hill had a touchdown. Buccaneers, you had Brady throw 54 passes, crazy, but only 281 yards, 2 touchdowns a pick. Fournette and White really didn't have nothing going in the running game, just combined for 77 yards rushing. And you had Rashard White with a touchdown, and also Cade Otton scored. I mean, this was, it was a bad game, to be honest. But Brady pulls it out. More than likely, they're going to win the horrendous NFC South and probably play the Dallas Cowboys in the first round of the playoffs. Well, what's our thoughts on this game and, just the overall bad NFC South?
Man, look.
saying it.
The NFC South has turned the NFC South has turned into the NFC East. That is what they have turned into. We'll be lucky if one of these teams gets to 8-8. We will be lucky. Like, that's what it turned into. And like, my thing ain't really with the Bucks, because the Bucks are just, they're just clinging to life. My thing is more on the Saints, that I really feel like the Saints shouldn't have stuck with Andy Dalton. They should have at least let Jameis, once Jameis was really healthy. I understand he trying to play through hurt, and we know that's not really a good thing to do. That's what made him look worse than what he was. But they should have just went back to him once he was fully healthy. Instead, they tried to ride out the hot hand with Andy Dalton. And we see where that's gone, because now they have such a quarterback, I don't want to say controversy, but just a quarterback entanglement. A quarterback entanglement next year, because they got to figure out what you're going to do if you're going to re-sign Jameis, if you're going to keep Andy Dalton as a backup, what you're going to do with Taysom Hill. Are you going to try to draft a quarterback? You don't have your first round pick because you traded that to the Eagles, but you have a really good offensive pieces, because you have Alvin Kamara, you have Michael Thomas, who will come back next year, and you got Chris Olave, who done popped up, and you actually have a pretty decent and pretty solid defense. So it's just like they have such a kerfuffle of what to do offensively and quarterback wise, and even coach wise. Because now you really got to look at it as Dennis Allen is even the permanent answer, or should you try to look elsewhere and go further than that? So now I don't even know what the outlook is. Like, I don't know what they're gonna do with quarterback and head coach. I really don't. I'm just, at least with the Buccaneers, all they got to worry about is if Tom Brady gonna come back there, or if he's gonna go back to New England. That's all they got to worry about. At least for these other ones, man, look.
Yeah, just bad. New Orleans, I don't know what to say about them. Well, yeah, I do know what to say about them. Fuck New Orleans. But definitely should have gave Jameis his job back. You know what I mean? Alvin Kamara, I don't know what's going on with him this year. He's 2.2 yards a carry is crazy. You know what I mean? He just fell off the face of the earth as far as his production. Saints just need to go back to the drawing board next year. As you said, they don't have no first round pick because they traded it. I mean, so who they go for? Baker. Get your boy.
God, they could not go to the Baker carousel. Not the Baker carousel.
Go Baker. Baker to
the Baker carousel.
But yeah, Tom Brady once again, fourth quarter comeback. Skip Bayless went crazy. You know what I mean? But yeah, I wasn't impressed though. They got the victory. But yeah, Bucks win. They
Brady Jr.
Help.
But yeah, it was Bucks. But before we get out of here, you had power rankings week 14. Your top 10. You got the Eagles at 1, Cowboys 2, Bills 3, Chiefs at 4, Niners 5, Vikings at 6, Bengals 7, Dolphins 8, Ravens 9th, Seahawks 10th. I mean, do we agree with this order, or should it be some shuffling? Or is there a team that shouldn't even be in this top 10?
If I got to look at current rankings as the teams are currently right now, I feel as though that San Fran should go down one, only because their quarterback situation is so unknown at how they're really looking.
There we go.
That's the only reason I would say. Like, I would actually agree mostly, although I think the Cowboys are a little wank.
All right, then keep that energy with the Ravens. Lamar's out for 3 weeks.
Oh, if I gotta look at, I'm gonna be real with you. The bottom 3 wasn't even in my sight line. I'm just gonna keep it a beam with you. Like the Dolphins, they find where they are. I wasn't even really worried about them, but they find where they are. Ravens and Seahawks, I really don't give a damn who's down there. If you want me to keep it a beam with you, I don't care because they don't matter right now. So I'm really looking at top 7 above. Like that's all I was looking at. Like the
Is it
other
close
3 do not matter to me.
10-2 Vikings at 6? Are they not a top 5 team?
No, I don't like. It's like I was saying a couple things. Like, ask yourself this question: anybody who wants to put the Vikings at top 5 in the NHL, do you really believe in your heart of hearts that the Vikings can make a full playoff run and make it to the Super Bowl?
No.
No, exactly. And because of that, they're not top 5.
Who we trust. You know what I mean?
Like, that's the reason why I said it. If you don't believe that the Vikings can make that Super Bowl run, they're not top 5. And the reason why they're not top 5 is for those reasons. You don't trust Kirk Cousins. They have a tendency to blow up in like big moments. They struggled or like had to fight for every game this season, whether the team is good or bad. It's more like they play perfect. They play to the level of their opponent, which is not good as a team because you don't show dominance that way. No matter if the team is good or bad, they normally play to the level of their opponent.
All right. What's the rankings real quick? Put them up again.
So
I'll start from 10 and go to 1. So I'm putting the Ravens at 10 because Lamar's out for 3 weeks. It just no offensive weapons really. I mean, Gus Edwards is pretty much a starting running back right now. Mark Andrews is I'm not saying he's the only viable target, but that is your number 1 target. So,
he's the only viable target. I'll say it.
Let's go. I'll put Seattle at 9. So only reason is Kenneth Walker getting hurt. That's a big
that's a big blow.
You have, but on the ground, besides having Tyler Lockett, Noah Fant, and DK Metcalf, Kenneth Walker's low key an honorable mention, top 10 running back. Just saying, under the radar. The Dolphins are fine because we fucking smoked them, so they're fine at 8. Now the Bengals being 7 doesn't really make sense to me. So I would honestly put them up. You know what? To be honest, I'll put the Niners at 7. Just being realistic. So I know we got the number 1 defense in the league. Brock Purdy played a fair game.
I'm gonna keep it being with you. If Purdy shows up next week and does the same thing, I have no problem really putting him at like
I'm
5.
just saying for right now, going into it, let's put the Niners at 7. Fair.
Cool.
So I will keep the Vikings where they're at. I don't trust them at all. They Mike White was a catch away from beating them, so we're not gonna act like he wasn't. Other than that, Justin Jeffries is still the best receiver in the league. Next to Devontae Adams, pretty 1A, 1B.
I think that's fair to say, yeah.
It is what it is. 5. I will go the Chiefs 5. I don't trust the Bills being 3. They just so iffy to me. So you know what? I'm putting the Bills at 3. I'm not trusting. They still don't have a run game. Josh Allen is still the best running back, which is absurd. And then their defense is so wishy-washy. Gabe Davis has fallen off a cliff. Darwin Knox has fallen off a cliff.
They're also missing Von Miller too.
Okay, Von Miller can come back, and then what? The offense is still pretty pedestrian. Josh Allen is doing too much. And then Stephon Diggs is the main weapon on there. I don't care about his Isaiah McKenry, fucking
Gabe Davis.
Gabe Davis fell off a cliff. He is nowhere now. So it's just like Dalton Knox.
Look at it.
Top 3.
I'll put the Bills at 5. I'll put the Chiefs 4 because they lost to Joe Shiesty. So Joe Shiesty gets 3. Jamar Chase is back. Their defense is still suspect. Once Joe Mixon stops getting hurt, then they could solidify. But for right now, Eagles, Cowboys smoked the Colts. That's nothing to. Who cares? And the Eagles beat Ryan Tannehill, and they stopped Derrick Henry, which is pretty much a success. Who's harder to stop, Jonathan Taylor or Derrick Henry? I'll go Derrick
Henry.
So I'll put the Eagles number 1 and Dallas 2. Dallas is very explosive. Michael Parsons is probably defensive player of the year, if not Nick Bosa. Wolf Hunter, fucking Trayvon Diggs is still getting smoked out there, but not getting smoked as bad as Jalen Ramsey. So, nonetheless, Zeke, Pollard, CeeDee Lamb is obviously a number one receiver right now. Michael Gallup's okay. Dalton Schultz? He's decent-ish. And then Dak's playing regular Dak. They're not playing, oh, we're down 2 scores going to the third and it's garbage time and I'm going to throw for 400 yards and barely lose. He's actually being confident. So, hey.
So that's the top 10. And one more thing that we got to get out of here. This is if the playoffs started today, Eagles will have the number 1 seed, obviously, with the Vikings playing the Seahawks, 49ers taking on the New York Football Giants, Tom Brady versus Dallas Cowboys, Skip Bayless's nightmare. You got the Bills at the number 1 seed in the AFC with the Chiefs playing the Jets, Ravens against the Dolphins, Titans against the Bengals. So that would be a play.
Going top left, Bengals beat the Titans fairly easily. It's not even a contest. I think the Dolphins can beat the Ravens.
I mean, they beat them before.
I think they could beat it. And then if Mike White shows up, I don't know. Sauce shuts down.
Stop the cap. Stop the cap here. We're not doing this today. We're not doing this.
Hold on. Sauce Gardner shuts down any receiver the Chiefs have. So
we're not doing this today. Yeah, the receivers aren't the problem. Travis Kelce. We're not doing this. The Chiefs beat the Jets. Stop this.
But my question is this going to remain the playoff?
I guess unless the NFC South just something happens and then you take away the Buccaneers.
The difference, there's a couple of differences that I personally think might or would happen. One difference is that I think the Bengals are going to take the division, which means that they would end up playing the Dolphins instead of the Ravens because the Ravens will go down to the wild card. Right now, the Ravens still lead that division. So currently, that would change up one thing. That'd be a bit more of a mixed up game if the Dolphins had to play the Bengals in round 1. That would be a shaky one. And the other one would be it's possible that the New York Giants fall out for Washington, but I think that wouldn't necessarily change the San Francisco 49ers winning that. That would be like the only. Well, yeah, that would be the only real difference. And then other than that, as long as San Fran doesn't let go of their division so that San Fran doesn't have to play the Vikings in round 1. That would be the only other mixed up one.
That are in the hunt. So in the AFC, you got the Patriots and Chargers both at 6-6. And then you got the Raiders, Browns, and Pittsburgh Steelers all at 5-7. So those are your in the hunt teams for the AFC. Now in the NFC, the teams that are in the hunt, you have the Commanders at 7-5. Really are the only viable, in the hunt contenders. You have Green Bay, Detroit, and Atlanta all with 5 wins. So, I'm pretty sure they're not making it. But yeah.
Other than Atlanta, because they got a shot in their division, we're gonna let the other one stay away.
But yes, that is if the playoffs started today. Week 14. We start this week off. Do we have a game this week in week 14? Let me look it up. Week 14 schedule. All right, so our Thursday night game is a bad one as usual. The Raiders taking on the Rams. So, Derek Carr against Baker Mayfield, maybe. So,
oh God,
we get Russ versus Baker Mayfield.
We get to see the Raider and make a bad game interesting.
Definitely Thursday night has been a plethora of just horrible games this year, but that's what we got. Rams, Raiders. I'm going to take the Raiders.
They haven't all been bad, just most. They haven't all been bad.
Most of them, about 80%. But I'm going to take the Raiders in this matchup. Rams are just a bad team at this point. The Raiders should be able to win this game. And also for fantasy updates, for the league, Cartel Football League. You know, the money
Yeah,
league.
we're dead. We're done. We're dead. It.
I went from 1-5 with my chance of making the playoffs at 15% to now 7-6 with the 5th seed. Thank
Well,
you.
we all 7-6 in this thing. When does the playoffs start?
In 2 weeks. You
Boy, we
saved my
all
season,
7-6 and 8-7. Boy, this is ugly. Oh, this is ugly.
Justin Fields,
But
Christian
listen,
Watson.
but listen to this though. That's the money league I'm losing in. How about in the other money league I'm in? I'm 11-2. Makes no sense.
They ain't got the right competition over there on your other one, but it's cool
What you
though.
mean? I probably got the worst running running backs in the league. I think my lead rusher is James Conner. Other than that, I got Justin Jefferson. I got Justin Jefferson, Travis Kelce, Amon St. Brown, Joe Shiesty, and Scary Terry. So I'm okay everywhere else. I just can't run the ball.
And running backs overrated.
Hey, first round bad pick, Justin Jefferson. I'll take it.
PC.
Good thing I had like I said, Christian Watson saved my season. I appreciate you.
Hey,
You know what I mean?
8 touchdowns in 4 games will do that.
Hey, I know, right?
So
But
congratulations to y'all in the playoffs. I will be in the losers bracket, so I don't got to fix my fantasy for the next 4 weeks. And the other joint, my job one, I think I'm on like 10-2. I'm something. I'm like 10-3.
This week we have yours truly, the sensei, going up against Monray Hudson. You know what I mean? So
hey, I'm gonna need my revenge for the earlier one. I need to get my momentum back. I'm gonna need this 8th win.
You know what I mean? I'm coming for it. You know, like I said, Justin Fields. I got healthy at the right time. Justin Fields came in, Christian Watson. I got Keenan Allen back. CeeDee Lamb woke up. You know what I mean? Jonathan Taylor started producing somewhat. You know what I mean? Now I just need George Kittle to do something for my tight end spot. Like, gosh. But
nothing. I need to win this week, boy. It's been a rough month. I can tell y'all right now, it's been a rough month.
I hope Deshaun Watson does not return to form this week. You know what I mean? Just
I doubt that. It's gonna be back to Kirk Cousins. It's back to Cousins. I just knew Cousins was gonna have a rough week, so it was either or. But don't worry, Cousins is back.
So I gotta choose this week either between Joe Shiesty and Justin Fields. So
Jesus. Y'all hear what I gotta go through over here?
Listen, Justin Fields gonna run for 170 yards, so
you know. But yes, this has been Blerd Cartel post game on a Tuesday. You know what I mean, usually we pulling up on a Sunday, but this has been Blerd Cartel post game.
Going up
on a
Tuesday.
You know,
I hate this song.
Hollywood Sensei of the Blerd Cartel, CEO status, aka Mr. Put That Shit On. I mean, you just seen me earlier on Culture Watch. I mean, another fire episode. Will we hit another 100K, 1K views? I don't know. I mean, maybe.
Shout out to Facebook taking away the 1K views and making 100.
Right, crazy. You know what I mean? I looked at the YouTube and said, okay.
What do you gain from that?
Right. But, you know, shout out to the, make sure you follow the Blerd Cartel, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, TikTok, Twitch, Spotify, Apple Music, Google Podcasts.
I heard a lot of people's socials is all the followings, like you stuck on people. It's people stuck on like 8.4, and then 5 people follow. You be at 8.3. I'm like, how? I think people fucked up. You know,
hit that subscribe button, especially on the YouTube. The subscribers have been going up. I mean, we did a nice little jump in the past couple of days. The shorts has been
get us a 2K.
Definitely get us to that 2K. The shorts been rocking. You know what I mean? Shout out to the reels too. You know what I mean? They've been rocking. You know what I mean? We just about to hit a 1K views on a reel for the locker room. You know what I mean? So
you
know what I mean? Shout out to that one. But yeah, you know, that's me. That's me signing off. You know.
Don't get roundtable tomorrow. Top 10 white people all the time.
Oh my God.
This one's gonna be crazy. You know what I mean? We do a top 10 white folks. Let's go.
Don't cancel us. Please don't cancel us.
How? We're
We mean no harm.
What's up? Ain't like we putting Christopher. Ain't like we putting Christopher Columbus up there or something like that. We putting like Jim Carrey, Tony Hawk. You know what I'm saying? Niggas that like we putting Magellan up there or something like that.
Oh my goodness.
Not Ponce de Leon.
Ponce de Leon. You know what I'm saying? We put up there like Tony Hawk, stuff like that. You know, maybe Jim Carrey.
Look, if Steve Irwin ain't on that list, bro, it's invalid.
Steve Irwin, Bob Ross.
I mean, Will.
Maybe Eminem. Somebody put Mac Miller up there. I don't know. Might be an honorable mention.
I mean, do we put Vanilla Ice on there?
Oh my goodness!
I don't see why Vanilla.
Where is my boy Eminem?
Listen, Eminem don't make my top 5. I'm just saying.
He's eliminated. He isn't making a list.
I mean, you put listen. If it's the race war, right, and you got to choose Tony Hawk or Eminem, you gonna not pick Tony Hawk? Like what the fuck?
You right. I'm not. I'm be playing Mom Spaghetti as my man comes over to my side.
Coward.
If it's Tony Hawk and Eminem, I'm sorry, Eminem. I like Skittles anyway. You know what I mean?
Now we turn on my boy M. That's crazy. It's all right.
That one there was a violation. Personally, I wouldn't have it. And
you know what's crazy about that? We're gonna do a diss track on that same song. Gonna make a diss track about both of y'all for traitorous ways. That's cool though. That track gonna be fire.
You act like I'm picking MGK over him. I'm picking the superior. Just like I was about to say the superior. That'd been crazy.
You don't even like skateboarding.
I like Tony Hawk Pro Skater Underground.
Get out. You're eliminated. Traitor.
What you mean? Yeah, like I picked Shaun White or something. Like what?
Traitor.
Tomorrow, it's gonna be. I feel like this gonna be probably one of the wildest episodes on the round table. Top 10 white folks.
Top 10 whites of all time. Keanu Reeves, he's up there. Is he not?
Oh, definitely. Keanu Reeves, he ain't a problematic white guy, so he definitely up there.
He ain't problematic. No, he's not.
Joe Burrow, he might be up there. He might sneak on there.
All right, get out. Now you're running out.
Tom Brady making this list.
Tom Brady cheated. Tom Brady cheated that one Eagles team, so we're not really fucking with that.
Oh wow.
Nick Foles will be up there.
The Eagles got their revenge. They all right.
Yes, for Nick Foles, he's in every Philly nigga's top 10 for white dudes. You know what I mean?
Shout out to what about Sylvester Stallone?
Are we putting Dr. James Naismith in the top 10?
Oh man, forget that. We're putting Arnold Schwarzenegger. What are we talking about? Stallone.
If we put Stallone, we don't need Arnold really.
Traitors. Rambo is overrated. Get him about.
Now we turn on Rocky? That's crazy.
We already turned on the Terminator. One of them got
y'all turned on him. I'm staying loyal.
Yeah, I'm saying put Butterbean up there.
Sheesh. That's tomorrow. Blerd Cartel.
Larry Bird.
Round table. Oh yeah, Larry Bird. It's gonna be a wild one.
Help.
Top 10 whites of all time.
Top 10 whites of all time. Are we doing just white men, or is white women added to this list? We just gonna exclude the school bunnies?
If you're not a problematic white woman, then sure.
No Karens allowed. You know what I mean?
That's a slur. Remember that.
Oh wow.
All right, we'll see you. We'll see y'all.
We out of here.
Yeah.